I think we are.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am mostly awake.
Mostly awake.
I slept well.
Good.
I only took about an hour to fall asleep, not 4,
And we went to bed a little earlier than usual last night.
which was lovely. And we worked on a puzzle
Mm-hmm.
and got some life things taken care of. We adulted last night.
Yes.
Just, family meeting, got things done, made menu plans, shopping lists, paid bills. Felt very, very
I knew I was going to have to adult, but this 24/7 thing is ridiculous.
Let's start with our tea. Our tea of the day. Okay, we have tried the orange. The peaches and cream was yesterday.
Yep.
We have tried the blood orange.
Yep.
We have tried the raspberry.
Yep.
Are those the only ones? Have we only done 3 days?
Yep. And these are our next two.
Okay.
Today is day 4.
Strawberry rhubarb parfait.
Interesting.
Strawberry rhubarb parfait. It is a caffeine-free fruit infusion. Water should be 200 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
5 minutes steeping time or
Okay.
more.
Oh, wow.
Ingredients. Want to guess the first ingredient?
Apple.
Apple, hibiscus, raisin, carrot, artificial flavoring of strawberry and rhubarb, beetroot, yogurt bits, maltodextrin, modified starch. Oh, okay, so these are the yogurt bits. I didn't see the brackets, but skim milk, yogurt powder, sugar, maltodextrin, modified starch, acetic acid, strawberry, and rhubarb. It contains milk. I'm always a little concerned when they say modified, even if it's normally when it's under dairy, I'm not as worried, but when cornstarch is modified, it probably is modified with wheat, and I don't know what other thing. Anyway, that is often foods you and I will avoid.
Yes, because we like you being healthy.
I also like me being healthy. We have 2 scripture passages to read today.
Ooh. Okay, 1 second. Let me get this steeping, and then I will grab my glasses and we can start reading.
Well, I will read the first passage.
Okay.
So the last 2 days we've been looking at Jesus' actions in the temple.
Yes.
The first day we talked about Jesus flipping the tables, and my phone is binging. My storage is running out.
Good to know.
We might need to do some moving of things. The Bing has thrown my brain off.
Yesterday was the fig tree.
So the first day was Jesus in the temple, flipping tables, and a statement I've seen recently, and I don't know if I actually said it in that stream, is like, don't try to be at a table that Jesus would flip. And then yesterday we were talking about the fig tree and looking this wasn't just Jesus not liking plants, but a symbolic gesture of things that look alive but are fruitless, things that should be nourishing and feeding people but have no fruit. Okay. Today we are starting in Luke 21, 1-4. As Jesus looked up, he saw the rich putting their gifts into the temple treasury. He also saw a poor widow put in 2 very small copper coins. Truly I tell you, he said, this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All the others gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she gave out of her poverty and put in all that she had to live on. It is not letting me go to the next one.
Second scripture is from John chapter 12, verses 1-8. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Here, a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served, while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Then, Mary took about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected. Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages. He did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put into it. Leave her alone, Jesus replied. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. I am raspy today.
Okay. I think I need some water. I was yep. I was recently sitting in the bleachers getting ready to watch my son play a high school basketball game, when suddenly I realized I'd forgotten to put my glasses in my purse. Who would ever do something like that?
I don't have a purse, but I do occasionally forget to put my glasses in my bag.
Yes. I could see well enough, but from a distance faces blurred together. As the game unfolded, I noticed I was missing the details, and at times even my own son, because I was watching but not really seeing. It's a strange thing to be present and still miss what matters most. And as I slow down with our passages today, I begin to wonder what Jesus sees and what we often miss. An easily overlooked, brief, but significant passage is the one traditionally known as the widow's mite. She stands in great company, one of many women who appear throughout Holy Week, whose quiet act of sacrifices draws our attention not to her, but to what Jesus sees and values. In a moment when the temple, the crowds, and the leaders are all under scrutiny, this invites us to look again at Jesus and what captures his attention. Slowing down to read and reread this passage, I find myself lingering on the opening phrase, as Jesus looked up. It may seem like a small detail, but I'm struck by it. Can I just pause there? I'm pausing there. We've been over Luke for since November at our church. And one of the patterns that I've been challenging us to look at based on Luke 4:18 is Jesus came to give sight to the blind. And anytime people were saying they were watching Jesus closely or Jesus watched, like it really just highlights something to me in my most recent reading, this continual phrase. And I really like her opening to it of like, what is Jesus watching? What is Jesus seeing? What are the disciples missing? What are the religious leaders and the religious lawyers missing that Jesus sees? And I just really struck by how much this devotional that we have picked up for this week, but I hadn't really looked at before this, matches kind of the heart of where we're going. And I do find when Jesus is in something, and God's working, the threads weave together. Yeah. Okay. In many ways, it's a small detail, but I'm struck by it. The way Jesus is attentive in this moment, lifting his gaze and seeing so clearly. First, he notices the wealth of the rich. Then his attention shifts, and he lingers on a woman who has so very little. He commends her to his disciples, honoring her devotion and wholehearted trust. It's hard to miss the parallel with the story that takes place just a few days later in the town of Bethany. After watching Jesus raise her brother to life, Mary pours out expensive perfume on Jesus' feet, wipes them with her hair. Jesus responds to her in love and devotion by naming it for what it is, an act of preparing him for burial. Two women, one clear message. Jesus sees their heart. By now, we are not surprised that Jesus sees in ways others do not. Both of these stories unfold while others are watching. The crowd in the temple, the guests reclining in the dinner in Mary's home. And yet, they are not truly seeing. What the crowd overlooks, Jesus pays special attention to. In fact, one onlooker at the dinner, Judas Iscariot, criticizes Mary and dismisses her offering as a waste of money, only to be rebuked by Jesus. I wonder if that has anything to do with his actions later. Maybe. Some bitterness being held on to. In both stories, money becomes the language that exposes the heart. Jesus will later go on to betray Judas will later go on to betray Jesus for silver, while Jesus honors devotion and gives without holding back. As the cross draws near, Jesus makes clear what he has been seeing all along. Not the size of the offering, not the noise of the crowd, not the assessments of the critics, but the love and trust, but the love that trusts him completely. He honors love that is freely given. He honors love that is freely given.
Mm-hmm.
In just a few days, Jesus will give himself in the same way. He will show the whole world, for all of history, what true, unselfish, and unrestrained love really looks like. What kind of love or trust feels costly to you in this season? I was just having a conversation with my mom about that. The idea of loving when someone is too blind to receive it. And blind might not even be the right word, but just they're so wrapped up in their own situation, they do not see the demand they're asking of you or the effort. Yeah. When they're, yeah. People we sometimes call extra grace required. As the cross draws nearer in the story, what invitation is Jesus extending to you personally? Things to ponder today.
It's an interesting reading, because you and I have had the conversation about what does the widows or what is the donation, the giving truly mean.
Yeah.
And how is it often interpreted, and how could it also be interpreted based on the full reading? Because he doesn't, if you look at what is written, he doesn't necessarily commend her for the giving so much as he compares how much her sacrifice is compared to what the rich people give.
Though our devotional word is one that makes me go, he is noticing in a way that might be commending. I've always seen it more as observing, because one of the pieces that happens right before it, Jesus says, "Beware teachers of the law. They walk around in flowing robes and love to to be greeted with respect in the marketplace, and have the most important seats in the synagogue and in the places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses for the show of making lengthy prayers, and they devour widows' houses, and for show make lengthy prayers. These men will be punished most severely." And then he observes this widow.
Yeah.
And anytime someone claims the name of God and to be acting on God, and then acts in ways that put poor people in poverty, make lengthy shows of praying in public, and are contrary to Jesus, this is who I think Jesus is calling us to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Be cautious. Anyway, that's the added piece. Let's talk about tea.
Yes.
Ooh, it's got a very strong yogurt peach strawberry smell. Like I
did steep it for almost 10 minutes.
Was it really 10?
Yeah, it was almost 10. We put it in at 33 and I poured it at 42.
I don't mind it. The water is very, very hot.
It is a little bit warm, yes. I think A couple less minutes steeping would have been better because it does have a tiny bit of bitterness just at the end.
Yeah.
And I think that's mostly because it got over steeped.
I don't like how hot it is.
The fruit flavor is nice.
Yep.
It's not overwhelmingly sweet in any way. I know there's yogurt in there, and I know you can taste it. I don't really notice the yogurt so much as I notice the fruit.
I noticed the fruit. I noticed the yogurt. I don't mind the yogurt. I would rather just strawberry, but I don't know how that would turn out. And it's yummy. Well, we have a very full day. I'm dropping by Russell Church because I'm going to be finalizing details for our Good Friday service, which will be at Russell Church in Kingston on Good Friday, this coming Friday.
I think it's 11.
At 11 a.m. And I will be there, and Alex will be there.
Yeah.
And others of our church will be there, so
Yes.
that'll be exciting.
It'll be lovely.
Yeah.
There's some great plans for that service. I'm looking forward to it.
And I am going to go and write a paper today.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two big things on my plate. What's on your plate today?
I have a project that has been sitting in the queue to be worked on for the last 3 weeks at work that has been passed back and forth between two different people, and I think we finally, yesterday, between the two of us, have figured out where the problem might be. Now we get to get all the details of that and figure out how to fix it. So that's gonna be at least my morning. I don't think it's gonna take much longer than that. And then I have a lot of documentation to write for a project that's coming up that I've been asked to detail. And I wrote up the actual text part, but now I need to put in all the diagrams and everything else to kind of flesh it out.
And I think Joanne just hit the whole Jesus piece of our story is nothing given or done for Jesus is too small. Jesus sees.
Yeah.
Jesus sees the heart. And so, yeah, maybe not. We've discussed a lot about, like, the passage about the widow isn't as much about giving, but it is about her heart.
Mm-hmm.
And in comparison to those who are rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to get our day going. And thank you for joining us for tea and talk. And we will be back tomorrow. Bye, friends.
Bye.